And for more on the economic ties between China and Belgium, we're joined by Dan McClory. He is president and head of China for investment company Boustead Co. Dan, good to see you.
Good to see you, Michelle, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you too, Dan. All right, China and Belgium celebrating their 45th anniversary of the diplomatic relationship, and they're vowing to strengthen ties at the Economic Forum. Dan, what do you think was the highlight here?
Well, it's got to be the Belt and Road Initiative, where you're going to have a rail link that starts in Western China and goes all the way to Antwerp, one of the key ports of Europe. So that's probably, to me, the headline aspect of this relationship right now. We heard about several other very favorable developments, but I would single that one out as being the biggest contributor to increased trade between the countries.
So how would you say Belgium is uniquely positioned to benefit from the Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, its proximity in Europe. On the one hand, it's at the center of Europe. On the other hand, it has good port infrastructure. But I think something that was pointed out earlier is the fact that despite its size, which is relatively modest, Belgium has the opportunity to kind of punch above its weight because of the European Union essentially being located there. And also, everything that's done is therefore magnified and gets a lot greater visibility. But clearly, being one of the western terminuses of the Belt and Road Initiative is going to be a key strategic position for Belgium.
Absolutely. Another interesting development, Belgium indicating that it is willing to join the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or the AIIB. How significant is that, Dan?
I think that means a lot. That combined with Belgium's stated support for ensuring that the WTO lives up to the Ascension Agreement with China, I think are a couple of very, very key developments. Even though Belgium was a little bit late to the game with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, I think it shows that it wants to be part of this next generation of global financial institutions that have been created.
Well, do you see Belgium playing a very strong role in pushing the EU to fulfill its obligations on China's accession to the WTO? What can Belgium really do to make this a reality?
Well, effectively, as we know geographically, it's kind of got the EU surrounded. Okay, so like it or not, the EU is right there within Belgium. And then I think as a result, by example, so opening up to these initiatives such as the Infrastructure Investment Bank, by showing that it wants to be a key trading partner with China, by announcing, for example, a dozen deals last year that totaled some $20 billion when China visited Belgium. I think all of those examples in such close proximity to the EU will show that it should be open to and supportive of China's ascension.
You know, Dan, you mentioned trade, a number of trade deals between Belgium and China, and Premier Li saying that he hoped Belgium would promote China-EU negotiations on a bilateral investment agreement and a feasibility study on a China-EU free trade area. How likely is a China-EU free trade agreement?
I don't think it's very immediately likely. I think these are some preparatory steps that can be taken on the way to such an initiative, but I don't think it's in the cards near term. I think rather exchanges like we're seeing between Belgium and China in areas of innovation. So the center that's being set up, for example, which should be another assist to China emerging from a manufacturing economy to an innovation-driven economy. I think that's something important. And the industries that Belgium has been historically strong in, as we've heard, aerospace would be a key one, which is very much aligned with China's ambitions to continue to be a strong player in aerospace, and also financial services. Ambang was over in Belgium putting together a very, very interesting potential relationship. So I think that's what we're going to see it more on the ground and by example than necessarily with this multilateral agreement.
Now let's talk about that Ambang initiative that you mentioned. It's the biggest insurer in China and in Belgium, and it said that it will support Chinese individual entrepreneurs to invest and do business in Europe. How do you see that playing out in effect?
Well, I think it's going to rely on the financial services infrastructure in Belgium, which is very strong. If we were to pick an indigenous industry, it would have to be financial services. So I think the flow of capital, and therefore then the flow of business and entrepreneurialism, I think that's all going to be occurring in the same path, in the same process. So it's going to start with capital and financial institutions working together with each other, the establishment of some funds that are going to be supportive, and again, this Innovation Institute, which is meant to exchange between both countries the best that they have to offer.
All right, Dan McClory, thank you as always for your insight. No trick-or-treating here. Dan McClory, President and Head of China at Boustead & Company.